To scale up and expand your installation of Hitachi Content Intelligence, or HCI, add worker nodes to your cluster. You can then assign services to run on these clusters to improve the performance of things like indexing and workflows. Today, we will look at 3 ways you can scale up a cluster on an HCI system. The 3 original master instances are displayed here in gray. The additional worker nodes will be shown in white. The first method of scaling up a cluster is by manually deploying HCI. To add the worker nodes to the cluster, you must do 3 things. Create the virtual machines, install the Content Intelligence package, and assign the nodes to the clusters. First, unpack the HCI tar file. This may take several minutes. In this example, the user has already uploaded the HCI packages to their server. After the file finishes unpacking, it is time to install HCI. Once HCI has been installed, assign the machine's IP address and the master server IP addresses from the instances to your cluster. These can be viewed by opening the cluster.config file, which is located in the config install directory. With the IP addresses you just gathered, run the setup script. This script tells the server which cluster they belong to and adds those associations to the cluster.config file. Depending upon your connection and machine, this can take several minutes. Now, set up HCI to launch automatically. To prepare for these changes, copy the hci.service file to the directory /etc/system/system. This is the location for Ubuntu. Now, start HCI. After you have launched HCI, you can check its status to confirm that the Watchdog service is running and that the instance is ready for deployment. If you have set everything up correctly to this point, your system is now listed as ready. Verify that the HCI Docker images are loading correctly. If no errors appear, you are ready to view the changes in the admin app. If all has gone according to plan, your new instance appears and it joins the cluster. The second method to scale up your cluster is by using an Amazon Machine Image, or AMI, through the Amazon EC2 console. An AMI is a snapshot which can be reused to deploy additional nodes, with the software already installed and configured and minimal setup required. Using the instance we just manually deployed, we will create an image for reuse. After it is created, customize the image settings and click Create Image. To use the new image, select it and click Launch. You will then walk through the process of creating and configuring a new instance. Once the virtual machine boots, Content Intelligence will be installed and almost entirely configured. To finalize our setup, we need to manually adjust the IP address and the Universally Unique Identifier, or UUID, of the new instance to match them to our server in the cluster.config file. Here is our cluster.config file and the IP addresses of the master servers. For this example, the 3 IP addresses match those of the instances our user has created in HCI. Edit the cluster.config file to change the external or public and internal or private IP addresses to match the new server's IP address. Because the cluster nodes have a single network interface, the same IP address is used for both public and private access. For this example, the user has set up their server to have one IP address for both their public and private access. While you typically assign separate IP addresses for both, this is also an acceptable format. Lastly, create a new UUID and assign it to the worker node. This ID is unique for every cluster that is running. Every node associated with the cluster shares this ID. To do this, use the Linux tool UUID-gen to generate one. Once created, we add it to the cluster.config file. With the IP addresses and UUID properly configured, set up HCI to launch automatically at reboot. To prepare for these changes, copy the hci.service file. Now it is time to start HCI. After starting HCI, notice the addition of the 5th node in the admin app. The third and fastest method to scale up your cluster is by creating and using an EC2 launch template. Whereas an AMI allows you to launch a single node, a launch template allows you to deploy multiple nodes with a single mouse click. Most importantly, a launch template allows you to run an initialization script. This script can be used to automate all of the manual setup completed in prior steps with our cluster.config file, IP address association, and HCI installation, allowing us to deploy new clusters with ease. To launch a template, click Launch Instance from Template from within your Amazon EC2 client. For this example, the user chooses to launch 6 nodes simultaneously. After refreshing the browser, we now see 8 nodes instead of just 2. We have scaled up our HCI system. You now know 3 ways to scale up your HCI cluster: by manual deployment, by using an Amazon machine image, and by using an Amazon EC2 launch template. Thank you for watching.